Welcome, everybody, to the very first episode of Up to Date MTG. I'm Zach Allen, better known as A22EN, and on this channel, you're going to find content that keeps you up to date with the Magic metagame. Today, we're going to play some Legacy. There's been some developments in the metagame, if you will. There's some new cards that came out in the Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, and I wanted to test them out. I wanted to see how good they are. There is much talk that we have another Artigaak on our hands, so I needed to see how good it was. So we've rented a deck, and we're gonna get into it. But before we do, I'd like to take a second to remind everyone to please subscribe. I will be bringing you tons and tons of new videos, new updates, maybe even some podcasts on what exactly is happening in the metagame and what you need to be prepared for your upcoming tournaments. So take a second, click that like, click that subscribe button down below right here. Yep, right there. And yeah, let's get into this deck so that we can show you what's happening in Legacy right now. So update on the Legacy metagame. Delver has been the best deck for 15 years now. I don't know, ridiculously long time. It keeps getting cards banned. The most recent banning is Ragavan. Before that, Dreadhorde Arcanist and Oko, and Ren and 6, and Deathrite Shaman. Just so many bannings. But anyway, Ragavan was recently banned, and that kind of threw the metagame for a loop. Delver was the best deck, but there were at least other decks playing Ragavan that could beat Delver. Now it kind of feels like Delver beats everything, now that Ragavan's gone, which I don't think was really the intended consequences of the ban, but it is kind of what has happened. But then Kamigawa Neon Dynasty came out, and that delivered us a very strange card from the Commander product called Kappa Cannoneer. Kappa Cannoneer is a 6-mana 4/4 with Improvise. Improvise lets you tap artifacts to pay for the colorless mana in Kappa Cannoneer's cost. So it says 6 mana. Basically, it's 1 blue mana, and then you have to tap 5 artifacts to cast it. Kappa Cannoneer is an artifact creature with Ward 4, and it says whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on Kappa Cannoneer, and it can't be blocked this turn. It counts itself, so it says as a 4/4, it really enters the battlefield as a 5/5, which is pretty outrageous. It can't be blocked. Honestly, if you have played Magic, specifically Modern Magic or Legacy Magic for any amount of time, and you remember how broken Artigaak was, this card feels like Artigaak to me. It is just really giant, unblockable thing that comes down super early and is really hard to kill. Ward 4 means you can't kill it until turn 4, but I can play it on turn 2. I don't think this deck could do... I guess there are very specific hands that could cast it on turn 1. It's very unlikely you turn 1 it, but you can turn 2 it. And turn 3 is like pretty easy. Most of the lists going around playing it currently were mono blue. They looked like this, with a bunch of thought casts and thought monitors and a whole bunch of stuff going around. I didn't think the mono blue list was very good, and there's actually been some very nice white artifacts enter the metagame recently. So I'm trying a white build. This was first popularized by Bob Wong, so credit where credit's due. Bob Wong put the white splash into effect for most people. But this is what we got. So, I will say I did try the blue version. I didn't like it that much. It was a little weak to hate, and it was a little clunky. The Thoughtcast plus the Cannoneer were just too many affinity creatures. You just needed a few less. And also, the Thoughtcasts weren't actually that good at putting an artifact into play every turn, which is what you want to do with Cannoneer. Thoughtcast itself wasn't. Thought Monitor obviously is good at it. But Thought Monitor is a little clunky. I only wanted 3, 4 was too many. Regardless, in this version, we've cut the Thoughtcast for Esper Sentinels, which kind of function like a Thought Monitor, but I think are just a much better card. They also help pay for Kappa Cannoneer in a way Thoughtcast did not. So I think Bob's change there was very intelligent. By the way, if you want to check out Bob Wong's content, I will link his Twitter down below in the content, or in the episode description. Feel free to go give him a follow on Twitter right there. But anyway, what are we doing outside of that? Well, we're a Chalice of the Void deck. A lot of decks have main deck Force of Will. I don't think the main deck Force of Wills are right. I never really wanted them game 1. Sometimes you're going to lose to the unfair decks in Legacy. I think you just have to accept it. You can also beat them with quick chalices. That just happens too. But in post-board games, you do want the force effects, so you'll notice we have a bunch of them in the sideboard. But the other big hate piece we get against the unfair decks is Ethersworn Canonist. You see I have 2 main and 1 sideboard. I think Ethersworn Canonist is great. It's an artifact hate piece that says each player who has cast a non-artifact spell this turn can't cast additional non-artifact spells. So basically, it limits your opponent to casting 1 spell a turn, and you can just cast as many as you want, because all your spells are artifacts, basically. We have 8 non-artifact spells in our deck. I guess we aren't going to be able to double spell with Sai and Emery, specifically with Ethersworn Canonist in play, but that is more than fine. You can find a way to play through that. But let me talk about the actual engine of this deck. Yes, Kappa Cannoneer is broken. Yes, we want to play an artifact every turn to make sure it's unblockable and it keeps growing. But the real backbone of this deck is Emery and Sai. Sai says whenever you cast an artifact spell, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter. You can also pay 2, sacrifice 2 artifacts to draw a card, which is small but comes up, sometimes. But mostly it's an artifact, Young Pyromancer, Monastery Mentor, whatever you want to call it. You want to just be casting a ton of artifacts, which is kind of the same thing Kappa Cannoneer wants. And the way you cast a ton of artifacts in this deck is Emery. Emery is, in my opinion, the heart and soul of this deck. I don't think the deck would work without Emery. It's so important for just generating more artifacts, getting your Thought Monitor count down for getting more artifacts in play, letting you convoke out or improvise out Kappa Cannoneer. Emery's a 3-mana 1/2, costs 1 less for each artifact, so it has affinity, and you can tap it to target an artifact in your graveyard and then cast that artifact this turn. And that works great with our Urza's Baubles and Mishra's Baubles, which are just 0-mana artifacts to draw a card. And it also works really good with Lotus Petal. And of course, Mox Opal. You can cycle Mox Opals with Emery. If you have 2 of them, you can tap 1 for mana, tap Emery, cast another Mox Opal, tap that one. You can just generate extra mana every turn with Opal. But that's what this deck is doing. That's basically it. We've got some tutor targets for our Urza's Saga. Oh, Urza's Saga is the other really important card. I guess I should mention that. We do have Cavern of Souls to get around our own chalices with Esper Sentinel. Cavern on Human does it, but also to make sure our Kappa Cannoneers don't get countered, because you can't kill them in play. The only way you can really stop them is countering them. Well, if you can't counter them either, how do you beat them? But Urza's Saga is the other backbone of the deck. It just makes giant constructs. This deck has a ton of artifacts. Urza's Saga just is responsible for 3 artifacts by itself, and it makes 2 constructs that are huge in this deck. And it puts a lot of pressure on other decks to answer the Saga, and if they can answer the Saga, then they lose to the rest of the deck. So, yeah, let's get into some games. Let's see how it goes. I think this deck is going to be pretty strong. I'm excited to play with it. The sideboard, we really just have some creature hate, some counter spells. The Engineered Explosives and the Plowshares are more creature hate. The Ethersworn Canonist is kind of in the counterspell package. And then we've got some Urza Saga toolbox cards in an extra Pithing Needle, a Graph Digger's Cage for graveyard hate, and an Aether Spellbomb. I guess that's more of the Engineered Explosives creature hate stuff. But yeah, Pithing Needle and Graph Digger's Cage. I do think I maybe want like a Tormod's Crypt. I could see one more piece of graveyard hate, honestly. And maybe I'm supposed to put that in, but it could go over the Ethersworn Canonist. Maybe we don't need a second Ethersworn. Yeah, in fact, let's make that trade. I want one more Tormod's Crypt. Just another 0's just really good. Ooh, do I have a Tormod? I do. Alright, Ethersworn out, Tormod in. Game. Alright, let's battle. Alright, we are here for round 1, and this is an insane start. I mean, this is like the dream hand for this deck, honestly. Opponent's on the mulligan, I'm on the draw, but we have a turn 1 Saga that we can activate on turn 2 with a turn 1 Emery. Yeah, I mean, we just have a turn 1 Phyrexian Arena. We're going to be drawing 2 cards a turn the entire game, and we're going to be making a bunch of stuff with Urza's Saga, and we even have a Shadow Spear so that our constructs have Trample and Lifelink. This hand's ridiculous. I will say, Shadow Spear has been one of the best cards in the deck in my testing. In fact, I don't think it would be crazy to play 2 in this list. It's been that good. I've actually seen some lists that were successful with 2, so if you're wondering, what's some good tech, what some changes you could make to the deck, well, a Shadow Spear is one of them. Now, my opponent has revealed Chancellor of the Annex on turn 1, and is now reanimating things. So, a little unfortunate for us. They have a turn 1 Grizzlebrand. That's not great generally. Yeah. Well, this is the risk you run in playing a deck like this. You sometimes just get got. But that's life. That's how these legacy decks have to function. You have an insane hand, and you're just going to lose to opponent having Necropotence. I don't know, it isn't even Necropotence, was it? Yawgmoth Bargain on turn 1. Yeah. Right, well, I don't even want to show them what I'm playing. I'm not beating a Grizzlebrand on turn 1. I can't get Grizzlebrand off the table game 1. An opponent's going to tear apart my whole hand. I'd rather have them unprepared for what I'm going to do. And what I'm going to do is bring in some Graveyard Hate and some Pithing Needles. I do think Othersworn's good. Chalice can be good if it's in your opening hand. I don't think we actually need Kappa Cannoneers, although I don't think it's terrible to have them either. Esper Sentinel seems pretty bad. This is not a slow value matchup. Othersworn I think I do like. Retrofitter Foundry also seems somewhat bad. It's not terrible. It does work with Psy to like block Grizzlebrand and stop it from getting lifelink, but I think overall it's kind of bad. I am trying to up the blue count, so I really don't want to touch those. We just need more blue cards for how we boarded. I think Othersworn's maybe too slow. I'm going to take it out. I don't think this is a matchup where I'm going to want Shadow Spear. Shadow Spear is great, but this just isn't the matchup for it. And I have to cut 2 more cards. I think here I'm going to cut a Thought Monitor. I kind of want to cut a Chalice. I'm a little concerned that most of my hate for their deck is 1-mana artifacts. I'm leaving Chalice in, and I'm putting in a 1. Also, 1 doesn't even hurt him that bad. Maybe I'm supposed to cut more Chalices. Yeah, I think I'll cut 2 Chalices and bring in a Thought Monitor. There's actually a chance I shouldn't have any Chalices. I don't know how right that is. It does stop 1s. Well, I think this hand is good. I'm going to keep it. The thing it has going for it is I get turn 1 Tormod's Crypt. This Reanimation deck does not have counter spells, so Tormod's Crypt is going to resolve. They also aren't good at destroying artifacts, and their disruption is hand hate. So if I put Tormod's Crypt in play on turn 1, they have to find a way to counter to get a creature in play through the Tormod's Crypt, which they might be able to do. But I have a pretty good start myself. I get to start making constructs on turn 2. Ancient Tomb and Urza's Saga is a heck of a combo. And I think this is basically how the deck is going to have to function against Reanimator. You kind of have to have a Force Effect or a Crypt in your hand. Maybe not even a Crypt, but some piece of Grafdigger's Cage, something. The Tormod's Crypt is great, though. I guess maybe they have... I don't know what they could have. They didn't reveal Chancellor, right? Yeah, no Chancellor of the Annex reveal, so I'm going to cast Tormod's Crypt. And then pass. The Crypt over the third Othersworn change at the last minute seems pretty good now. Pretty happy about that one. Yeah, the really tough part for the opponent here is to play through a Crypt. They have to blow 2 cards, almost. They have to put a creature in the graveyard and then target it with a reanimation spell. And they don't have instant speed reanimation spells generally, so they're kind of forced into that. Thoughtseize themselves, huh? Alright. Yeah, I mean, nothing they're doing here is getting around Crypt very well, so unfortunate for them. The other problem, too, is they have to do it before my Saga pops, because I'm going to go get a Grafdigger's Cage and probably just beat them with constructs. They showed me their hand, which is very kind of them. Okay, so they're targeting Reanimator. I know their hand is Sarah's Emissary and Entomb. I will not let them have a Grizzlebrand. That sounds very bad for my chances to win. And now I get to make some constructs. Oh, I drew a Soul Guide Lantern. Brutal for the opponent. And let's go ahead and put a Grafdigger's Cage in play. That seems quite good. And sure, Soul Guide Lantern too, why not? Just all of the graveyard hate, every single bit of it. And I get to attack for 4. An opponent is on a pretty quick clock here. I don't think I can kill him next turn. I need to put 3 artifacts in play, which seems pretty unlikely. But they also have nothing going on. Yeah, I mean, that's just too much graveyard hate. Now, the unfortunate thing is the graveyard hate's going to be a lot worse now because they get a turn before I can deploy it to take it out of my hand. But that's what our counter spells are for. So hopefully they come into effect. I really don't like Chalice on the draw. I think it's just going to be too slow. Maybe it's okay. I kind of wonder if I'm supposed to have some swords in instead. Or maybe like a Shadow Spear to try racing. It just seems unlikely that any of that works. I'm also not entirely sure how I beat Sarah's Emissary giving protection from creatures, which is something they might go for. I think I just have to stop anything from coming into play. I guess I have an Aether Spellbomb to bounce it. Yeah, I just don't think Swords is very good. I guess 2 Chalices is fine. They're not going to be good, certainly, but I could see there could come up some game scenarios where they are. So we'll see what happens. So on the draw against this deck, pretty interested in a hand with a turn 1 Force of Will. And especially one like this that actually has a way to, you know, Force of Will a thing plus have somewhat quick graveyard hate. Opponent's on 6. I don't think I can mulligan this hand. I don't have graveyard hate fast. I mean, I have it on turn 3, which is slow. But I have the Force. Saga does get graveyard hate, so, you know, within the first couple turns I will have it. And I have a Spellbomb, which, you know, isn't going to beat a Grizzlebrand generally, but it can beat like an Arcana Cruelty maybe if they go that route. But let's see what they do. Dark Ritual, they're just going for it. All right. I was maybe supposed to Force Will the Dark Ritual. Oh, they are Thoughtseizing themselves. Interesting. All right. Well, that seems pretty good for me. I'm going to Force Will that very quickly. So, opponent's hand is a Badlands. Problem for us here is if they top deck a reanimation spell, we are in a lot of trouble. I guess if they're Thoughtseizing themselves, maybe I'm supposed to force that? I don't know. It's a weird corner case scenario situation. Well, let's see what we're drawing. Give me the bad news. They're drawing Reanimate. Of course they are. Of course they are. The good news is they only get 7 cards to Reanimate because it is going to cost 7 life. And I do have a way to beat Lotus Pet, or to get Grizzlebrand off the table, actually, with the Spellbomb. And of course I drew Cage immediately after. That's actually really unfortunate. Wow. That is very unlucky. The good news is they only get to draw 7. And their 7s don't necessarily win. They might. But it's not a given that they'll win. And I do get to bounce Grizzlebrand here. It's pretty likely that they can do something with the 7. But they can't cast any more Reanimates. So Reanimate is a dead draw. And like I said, I do have the bounce spell for Grizzlebrand ready here. They're griefing me, sure. Well, that is unfortunate. I also have a lethal attack on turn 3. With just what's happening here. Yeah, drawing the Cage there is pretty unfortunate. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll see. This is one of those scenarios where just given what's happened, I think we have a chance. They only have 5 cards in hand. I mean, they do 2 for themselves quite a bit. Legacy's a scary place. This is a place where demons come out of the graveyard very fast. They're coming for you. The demons. Well, given that I have Tomb, I don't need to pop the Spell Bomb now. I don't really think it benefits me in any way, so... Interesting. Opal does what? I think nothing. I think using the Opal is a mistake this turn. I'm just going to hold it and maybe bluff like I have something. It's pretty clear I don't, but not going to hurt me to bluff it. And I'm just going to pass and pop Spell Bomb when they go to attack. Return Grizzlebrand to hand. See what happens from there. The awkward thing is if they can put Grizzlebrand back into play, I don't have a tax anymore. But I don't think I could let it hit me. I think that was too risky. And sadly, I drew the Grafdigger's Cage. I think that's very unfortunate. Unmask. Well, they are. Oh, they're unmasking themselves. So, all right. Grizzlebrand is coming back into play. Sure. Sure. But it is a 6/7 now. So there's that. Man, I really wish I had the Retrofitter Foundry now. Maybe I was not supposed to board that one out. Tough. Ooh, interesting. So I can either stop them from putting more things in play, which seems reasonable with like a Soul Guide Lantern, or I could Pithing Needle Grizzlebrand so that they just can't attack with it and they're kind of locked to do nothing, right? So they have Grief and Chancellor in their hand. I guess they could hardcast Grief, but I don't care about that. And if I can get these up to 7s, then they chump block with Grizzlebrand. Yeah. Alright, well, Pithing Needle on Grizzlebrand it is. I think that's the best play. Grizzlebrand. Alright, I'm going to play a Bauble. Man, if I just had one more artifact, I would make them chump block with Grizzlebrand. That would have been excellent. But they definitely don't have a tax here. In fact, they kind of just have to sit. Just got to hold tight for a second. And they're going to have a lot of bad draws. Also, they might just pitch a black card if they draw it to Grief to try and Grief me. Which, again, doesn't really get them very far. I guess they do have access to red mana. They could have a way to destroy Pithing Needle, but they didn't have that in hand. So, I guess we'll see if they do or not. But yeah, as it stands... Wow, you're attacking? That is wild. I am stunned they could attack there. What did they draw? It's got to be a creature, right? Maybe just a land so they hardcast Grief? Oh, they're reanimating Grief. Okay. Doesn't get them very far. So now the question is, do I want to pop Bauble? It doesn't... The size no longer matters that much, so sure, I think I do. They still have Grief in hand. This is me being stunned. Drawing 2 artifacts here would be very good. It makes cracking their fetch land undoable. Another artifact. Not an artifact, but Sai is awesome. That is a very good draw. I do have to go to 7 to deploy it, but that is It is essentially 2 artifacts. And now we get to bring the beats. I can chump block Grizzlebrand if I so choose. They're at 1, so they can't crack fetch. I guess they could attack and then crack fetch, but it's just not really getting them anywhere. And I have blocks now. I don't know if I'm supposed to block this turn because I am going to 1. I probably am supposed to block this turn, I would imagine. It's a shame I can't use the blue mana this turn to sack the Thopter because I could actually prevent lifelink. Oh, they've just conceded. All right. Well, we found a W. That was a sketchy game 1, or game 3, I guess, but we'll take it. We will take it. And no pay-to-win turtle either, I might add. All right, won the die roll here in round 2. Get to play first. We do have a turn 1 Esper Sentinel if we would like that. Into turn 2 Chalice. On the play, that's probably good. I think I'm going to keep. It's a little annoying I can't cast my Thought Monitor with this Cavern. It is nice that it's a... Oh, no, I guess Construct's not actually that good. Oh, whatever. Let me get my Esper Sentinel in play. That Esper Sentinel on turn 1 is bad for a number of decks in this format. Especially followed up by a turn 2 Chalice. I mean, I really want to be playing against, like, Delver here. Just a deck casting Brainstorm or Ponder. That's what I'd like to play against, honestly. Or like to be playing against, I guess. Oh, Island's a good start to that. A lot of Island decks play Brainstorm and Ponder in this format. Alright, the extra Cavern is going to be good here against Island deck. I'm going to play Saga, though. And I think we are casting a Chalice of the Void on 1. They are forcing it. Pitching Pact of Negation? Yikes. You only play Pact of Negation if you're up to some unfair stuff in this format, so... A little scary. A little scary for what that might mean. Storm, maybe? Let's see what they're drawing. Now I need to know. Consider. So, this might just be Doomsday? Playing Pact of Negation? I guess? I don't know. This could be a lot of things. Oh, second Chalice is quite good. Maybe Sneak and Show? I don't know. Alright, if they're paying for Sentinel, though, that's great. We also know they drew Consider, so this Chalice is going to get at least one of their cards. They forced the first one, so presumably it's really bad for them to have a Chalice on 1 in play. I am going to definitely cast the Chalice as opposed to, like, making a construct with Urza Saga. I think that's just not relevant enough. Against an unfair deck. Oh, Sai is very good. So the question is, what are we putting this Cavern on? Sai is a human, which is nice for Cavern. I think the answer... Construct is interesting, but I can get an Opal. I think I do Turtle. I guess I get Turtle anyway. Huh, I don't know. I'm not sure what the right answer is there. Regardless, I am going to want to play around Days, so I think given I don't have the Turtle yet, I'll do Construct. I wish I knew... What is the Turtle's typing? Let's find out. Darn it. MTGO. Turtle Warrior. Okay. Well, I'll name Turtle. Just send the message. We got the pay-to-win Turtle. He's on our side. Oh my gosh, MTGO, why? Why are you like this? Alright, back to our Chalice on 1 shenanigans, though. It's one of a second force. I will get my card this time if they do. Ooh, big pause. Big pause. Let's get some coffee. Chalice on 1 is good. Alright. You love to see it. Well, I'm going to bring the beats with the Esper Sentinel. We're getting in. In for 1. I am unsure if I'm supposed to actually make the construct here. I think that I am. I'm also not sure if I'm supposed to pop Bobble. I'm going to. I think it's right. I think I want to keep cycling, although it makes this... All right, they're drawing Force of Will. That's good to know about. It's not very good against my deck in general. I have a bunch of Cavern of Souls, and my Chalice is already in play. But it is good to know about. All right, so off Bobble, we draw the Turtle. Nice. Pay-to-win Turtle. Let's go. Wait a minute. Can I play Pay-to-win Turtle this turn? Tap this for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I could play it this turn. That's probably better than making a construct, honestly. This is just going to kill them so quick. Alright. I am in for Pay-to-win Turtle. The question is, what's the best thing to get? It's probably an Opal. I'm going to get an Opal. Usually, you only get an Opal if you don't already have one, but given I don't have one, it's the perfect time to get it. Turtle Man, go! Get in there, Blastoise. Opponent has just seen enough. I don't blame them. This card is big dumb, especially when you cast it off a Cavern of Souls. They even had the Force of Will. Like, they could have answered the Turtle if we didn't have the Cavern. So the Cavern tech already paying off. We didn't really see what they're doing. They could be up to all sorts of shenanigans. Sentinel, this main deck configuration did seem good, though. I don't think Soul Guide Laner is going to be good. I think I'm going to want some number of forces. I think I'll bring in 4 forces, but not the Force Negations to start, just because we don't know exactly what they're up to. And it didn't really look like it was a good Turtle matchup. I think you can trim down on Turtles quite a bit against combo. You do need to keep your blue count high, obviously. But we have a lot of ways to draw cards to just kind of try to find another blue card. I don't really like cutting the Shadow Spear. I think you can cut the Retrofitter Foundry, though. Maybe that's loose. I'm going to cut the Shadow Spear. We didn't see a single creature. You only want Shadow Spear against creature decks. And in that entire game, we saw like Pact Negation. Like, you didn't really see creature stuff. So, I think that's okay. We might get punished for not having creature hate. And also, our blue count is a little low. I think you want 18 cards. We're sitting at 17, so we are a little low on blue cards. But when you have things like Esper Sentinel that can draw you cards, it's generally okay. This hand's a little awkward. Obviously, the Esper Sentinel Chalice of the Void situation is not a combo. That's kind of why we're playing the Cavern of Souls. But, and to be clear, because maybe it's not, super intuitive at first glance, you can cast your own Esper Sentinels with Cavern of Souls on human through Chalice of the Void. So, if I have a Chalice on 1 and I have a Cavern and I play Sentinel, it will resolve and go into play and not be countered by the Chalice. So that's kind of the combo I'm talking about there. But all right, opponent's on 6. I mean, I think I'm supposed to keep this. The disruption is good. It is a turn 1 Emery, which I think I'm supposed to do over the other 2. I think. I just have a good turn 1 Emery start into a really strong turn 2. Now, given opponent's doing preordained stuff. No, you know what? I think I'm supposed to play Sentinel. I'm going to lead on Sentinel and see what they do about that. If you lead on Sentinel here, I don't think that matters. I think getting my disruption in play matters more. If I lead on Sentinel here, I think leading is slightly better for this reason. If this resolves and they cast cantrips and start to go off, I do get a draw step. So if I draw a Force of Will, I would rather have kept a blue card in hand. Very small thing, but I think because they're both very close plays, that little difference in the edge there is the reason to go Sentinel first. But we'll see what opponent has. Cabal Ritual? Alright, well. Hopefully that little line I just brought up pays off. Ooh, another Esper Sentinel. Did not pay off. Opponent is Doomsdaying. Fair enough. Well, I would imagine I'm in rough shape. It's a very quick Doomsday. He just turn 2'd me with it. Now, Doomsday does not mean I've auto lost, so maybe we'll be okay still. But I can't say this is good. Certainly. And I do wish I had brought in the Force of Negations now. The other thing is that the Chalice would have never have done anything. I'm not really sure how I can win. Honestly, it probably involves them not having Cavern somehow, which they probably do, but this probably involves them not having it if I was to win. And then I probably have to draw one of my forces, so I'm going to maximize to draw a force here. I think all of these scenarios are unlikely. I think they have a Force of Will in hand. Yikes. Alright, well, me drawing Force of Will not going to help all that much then. Also have an Ideas Unbound. Okay. Our chances of winning here diminish rapidly. But maybe. Maybe we'll be okay. It is somewhat unlikely that if they have to cast Ideas Unbound that they can also Thoracle. So there is that. Alright, a blue card. Oh, no Force of Will. Darn. Alright, Force of Will one time. Nice. Very nice. Maybe they don't have another blue card. That's probably how I win, if I were to win. If they have another blue card in hand, then I'm probably in trouble, but maybe they don't. Alright, well, they did. That's unfortunate for us. Oh, man, they had a Lotus Petal. No! Well, I will say I do think we played that turn well. I think we played that game well. We did not board to give ourselves maximum chance of success, but that's okay. We didn't know what we were up against. I don't think anything else helps. Pithing Needle. Yeah, it stops Street Wraith, I guess. Maybe that's better than Foundry. Foundry doesn't do anything. It's just way too slow. Canonist I do think is good. I don't actually think Chalice is great. I think it's like fine. And I don't think I'm supposed to cut a bunch of blue cards. I wonder if I can cut a Saga. This is like kind of a bad Saga matchup. I really want to maximize my blue cards too. What's the next cut? It's probably Cannoneer. I could also see cutting a Sentinel. Yeah, cutting a Sentinel seems reasonable. This hand is not good, but it does have Force of Will. Huh. I have access to multiple forces, but my Saga like just doesn't do anything. I mean, what am I getting with it? A Mox Opal, I guess? The multiple forces is nice. But I don't even, like, if I had another land to activate the Saga, I'd be more interested. But I'm going to, like, have to use Lotus Petals to activate Saga, and that seems really bad. I guess I can turn 1 a Thought Monitor? Right? It costs 4... No, I can't. I'm a mana away. I'm really not sure. This hand seems kind of bad. I think I have a lot better hands in the deck. The redraw on the Baubles give me pause. I have better hands. I'm going to mulligan. This hand seems better. I think this hand's much better. I'm going to keep bottom the Cannoneer. Sweet. Opponent is also on 6, so there is that. Opponent's on 5 now. Interesting. Now, this hand is not amazing, but I've got a turn 1 Phyrexian Arena in Emery. I've got some forces. If it draws well from where we're at, this hand can win. So that's where we're at. If they know to force my Emery, that would be very bad for me, but I can't imagine them actually forcing Emery here. That seems kind of loose, honestly. But maybe they do. I think if they did, I might force back, honestly. Okay, they didn't. That's good for us. Alright. Well, I milled some blue cards. I do think I'm supposed to pop both of these, actually, now that I think about it. Because I would like to draw another blue card. They have a Dark Ritual. Scary. And they're drawing a Dark Ritual, so they have many mana. Many mana. So drawing 2 blue cards would be great. That's 1 blue card. Oh, just 1. Alright, well. Better than nothing, I'll say. Better than nothing. So we know their hand has 2 Dark Rituals in it, so I'm probably not countering the first Dark Ritual. Oh, well, I'm definitely not countering a Ponder. That gives me a chance to find more blue cards, so that's good. That is good. They chose not to shuffle too, which is not what you want to see. You'd much rather that they shuffle. Oh, Chalice on 1 is quite good, given we know they have 2 Dark Rituals. They might have to force that. Yeah, they probably do have to force that. I am in. Let's Chalice on 1. And if they do force, we know they have 2 Dark Rituals, so I know that they can't beat me forcing. Nope, I can't do this. This is my turn. I have to do it this way. So there you have it. Mine resolves. And now I think I'm just bobbling. Yeah, I think I'm just bobbling. I just need to start getting pressure and more cards. Alright, so they chose to keep on Ponder, and there's another Ponder on top of their library, so they're going to have 3 dead cards in hand. This Chalice is going to be amazing. No wonder they forced. That makes a lot of sense from their perspective. Oh boy. So I know their hand is Dark Ritual, Ponder right now. Ooh, Pay2Win Turtle. Hello, friend. Human. Like my Espa Sentinel. Gonna get him in play. And nice that comes up immediately. Get to cast our Esper Sentinel through our own Chalice because of Cavern. Cavern. Can I Kappa next turn? If I draw a land or a 0 mana artifact, I could Kappa this turn, so that's nice. Drew a land. Sick. I think it's Bobble. I'm not sure what the better play is here between Bobble or Lotus Petal. I'm just going to cast Bobble. Why not? Where are we on this? This thing is -3. So it costs 4, so I can't play that, but we can Turtle. Let's pay to win. Go, Turtle Man. Blastoise, I choose you. Alright, opponent has seen enough. Oh, the turtle. The pay-to-win turtle. Alright, we are here for round 3. Let's check out what we got going on here. This is a turn 1 Emery or a turn 1 Ethersworn Canonist. Our choice. Dealer's choice, if you will. I think this hand's a clear keep. We don't know what we're playing against, but we have Disruption and card draw. It's about as much as you can ask for from this deck. Alright, we're playing against Delver. So, this is not actually a very strong hand against Delver. It is a keep, certainly. But I don't think it's a strong hand. But we're going to play around Daze here. Put some baubles in play and an opal. And I'm going to cast Emery. Because I think it's extraordinarily likely that Emery gets killed next turn. And from that point, I will play Canonist plus Emery. Could we not blind flip it? Alright, thank you. I would like a turn of reprieve, please. Alright, they're bolting Emery. We thought they might. Wasteland my Tundra, huh? That doesn't actually stop. Oh, no, that does cut me off a color source, right? So that is actually annoying, but certainly not that big a deal. I'm going to get the Canonist in play, just slow down their development. There's a chance they force this. I do get to play around Daze, which is pretty nice. And I actually do get to pop a Bobble here. Because this is an artifact. It is kind of bad for me if they kill this, though. I guess I can pop it in their end of turn. So we'll see what happens here. Alright, they drew Force of Will. It's annoying. But not the end of the world. Oh man, they get all their baubles so they can just play through my Canonist. Oh no! Alright, well, they didn't do anything, so I am going to pop a bauble. They have Iteration in hand. Fair. Ooh, this card's good against Iteration. Oh, we drew a Sigh? Oh, that's very good. It's awkward. We're so cut off on colored mana here. So the question is, an opponent has a force. I think it's very likely that they're able to kill something. I'm going to play Emery here. Emery just sets me up to actually be able to cast both of these next turn, whereas either one of these still makes me limited to one next turn. So I think that's better. I was kind of hoping they would force it, honestly. Just a little bit. I didn't think they would, but I was kind of hoping they would. Just because... Oh, this doesn't actually set me up, does it? I don't have a... For some reason I was thinking I had a Lotus Petal in my yard. I do not. Well, Iteration, not great in the Ethersworn Canonist. If you hit a land, I guess it's good. They hit a land, of course. Yeah. Love it. Only play 18 lands. Doesn't matter. No big deal. They're drawing Brazen Borrower. Well, maybe they're drawing it. They're probably not because of Misty, but could be drawing Brazen Borrower. Oh, those are really bad draws. I kind of think I'm supposed to just turtle here. Although, Retrofitter Foundry is not crazy. I think I'm going to turtle. They do have force, though, which is annoying. Can I cast Thought Monitor? 3. So it costs 4. I guess I can. I'm paying 4 life. I'm going to 7. That's pretty loose. I guess it's not awful, though. I think the payoff is just good enough if I draw lands, though. I need lands really bad. I do at least play around Dazed. It probably gets forced. Should be annoying. Oh, did not get forced. Interesting. Oh, wow. So maybe they have 2 bolts in hand, but if they do, I might just still be okay. Alright. Human. And now Psy's going to resolve, which is good, because it's hard for them to kill Psy. And then I got blockers for Delver now with Thought Monitor. And Psy is going to lock them out. So they do need burn. It's annoying that my Ancient Tombs are essentially shut off going forward, but I think we're in good shape now. Emery plus Psy just generates so many artifacts. I'm just going to have so many things in play very quickly. Even if I just have to sacrifice these, essentially. I don't know that they can win through this setup. Dragon's Rage is okay. All these are just going to struggle against flyers, though. Oh, Opal is a fantastic draw. Wow. So let's start with Esper Sentinel. Going to yield the Psy. And I'm going to tap this for blue. I now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so I can actually just cast another Thought Monitor. And if they force a will it, I can just cast it again next turn, because Emery's really ridiculous. They have seen enough. Fair enough. Alright, so post-board against Delver. I don't think I really want any of my cards. Maybe Swords to Plowshares. I think I'm just not supposed to sideboard, honestly. Ethersworn's pretty bad. Maybe I bring in something over Ethersworn. Like a Aether, probably Aether Spellbomb, actually. I also think Soul Guide's like kind of bad. I don't want Force of Wills. I guess 2 Force of Wills isn't the end of the world. Alright. This is the deck where you get meltdowned, and that stinks. It's really not good. But, meh. It's just going to happen to you. That is how this goes. I do have a turn 1 Sentinel, which is good. Opponent's on 5. Wow, alright. 4. Yikes. I mean, that is a real consequence of, like, their deck needs Meltdown to win. That's the reality. It's like, yes, Meltdown is brutal against my deck. It kills 6 permanents or whatever. It's really tough to play through, but opponent's not always going to have it, and they are incentivized to mulligan to it, so sometimes they just mulligan to Oblivion and then don't beat it. And that's just how it works. These caverns are really good. I played the matchup, the mono blue deck that did not have caverns, and that felt bad, but like all of your best cards in the matchup are humans, except Emery, I guess. But you have multiple caverns, so you can just name Turtle or Wizard or whatever you want. Alright. Wasteland, my caverns, not going to be great for them generally. Ooh, we drew Turtle. Pay to win, baby. Pay to win. Alright. I will say we're setting up for a beating if they do have a meltdown, but I guess I'm only losing 2 permanents at the moment. If I stop in their upkeep, let's see what happens. No, I want their upkeep, not mine. Alright, well, let's see what they're drawing. A Murktide Regent. That's not very good yet. And it's also not good against Aether Spellbomb. But it probably will be good. Oh, they didn't draw land either. Yikes. Oh, would you Ancient Tomb? Oh my goodness. Ancient Tomb was a very good draw there. Now, obviously, I'm setting up to get meltdowned. Everything I'm going to do will get meltdowned here. But if I can get the Kappa in play next turn, then meltdowns don't do anything. Ooh, they're not meltdowning yet. Yeah, you can't really meltdown here, right? I mean, you could. You just kill these two things, and then I would draw a card, and then I get to make constructs, so it's just not... You just wouldn't do it here. You'd wait till next turn. But they're falling behind the Sagas. Alright, so if I make construct and get Opal, I can still Kappa. Which I think is what I want to do, because they just can't kill this. Wait, I'm one short, aren't I? Oh no, I get to play another Ancient Tomb. What am I talking about? I'm good. We're good. Ooh. You stifling the search trigger? That would be interesting. Side note, if you are the opponent and you... No, they're doing something with red mana. Okay. Or blue mana? Doing something here. Dress down, maybe? Nope, just fetching. Oh, Pithing Needle. They're playing around Pithing Needle. That makes sense. Now I get it. But I wanted to play around Pithing Needle. That makes a lot of sense. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I can actually cast Blastoise through all of it. The question is, do I want to play around Daze? I think it's probably smart. Play around Daze. I'm going to do it. We know they have Force of Will, or no, we know they have Murktide. Oh, Pyroblast, sure. Alright, well, I might get meltdowned here. That could happen. That would be bad for me. I would lose a lot of permanents. But, that's a meltdown. Yep. I do get to draw a card. And we're going to get to rebuild somewhat quickly. I mean, that was obviously not ideal. No one here is happy about that, but it is what it is. I don't think life matters that much, so I'm going to get the Aether in play. Opponent is iterating, sure. And how many permanents did they get? 1, 2, 3, 4. Hit 4 permanents. Oh, and my 2 constructs, so 6 permanents. I got 6 for 1. Yeah, Pyroblast in a meltdown is tough. Ooh, Hull Breach. Oh, they don't even hit their land. That is rough. Okay. Now I need to decide if I'm popping the baubles or if I just want damage. I think damage is better at this point. Ooh, and we drew another Saga. Brutal for the opponent. I will, of course, get an Opal again. I don't know if that was obvious that I would get an Opal, but I will get an Opal. I would like to cast my Sai this turn. And even if they can get the Murktide in play, it just loses to Aether Spellbomb. So Murktide's not really on the table for them, and we know it's in their hand. If they found a second Meltdown, I'm probably not in great shape, but I still have a Saga. And I would at least get to sacrifice both of these to draw some cards, so I would be... But I guess I could get to sack all 3 of these. So a Meltdown here is, like, not horrible. I mean, it's not good, certainly, but it is not horrible. They're drawing iteration, sure. Still drawing iteration. Wild. Who would have guessed? Ooh, Opal's a fantastic draw. Oh, Chalice is also a very good draw. Wow. Okay, so start. Should I put Chalice on 2? I know they're drawing iteration. Chalice on 2 seems pretty good. It's still probably worse than Chalice on 1. Chalice on 1 just has to be better, I think. I should still do it the other way, though. Alright, opponent's seen enough. Wow. Opponent cast 2 meltdowns, one of which was a 6 for 1. Still lost pretty badly. That is something. Alright, we are here for round 4. This hand seems medium. It is probably a keep. On the Tron Legacy, though, this is just not usually what you're looking for, but if we play against something fair, like something playing snow-covered plains, it could be good. What am I hoping for here? Cheap artifacts? That was good. That was good. That was good. So I get to put 5 artifacts in play on turn 1. That's strong. Opponent has blue and white lands, so they're definitely playing something fair. Snow-covered lands in Legacy mean you're doing fair stuff, generally. If it's just snow-covered islands, they could be up to no good still, but for the most part, you're probably doing fair things. Ooh, another Opal's good. What's the best way to do this? If I make another Thopter, Servo. Yeah, alright. We're going to make another Servo. Then 6, I can play Thought Monitor for 1 mana, which I will do. That resolved. Nice. Wow. Play a land. I think I'm supposed to play Chalice before I play Pay2Win Blastoise. I want to keep this one. Yikes, I almost misclicked that. Chalice on 1. Sword's my Thought Monitor. That's fine. I was maybe supposed to play Pay2Win Blastoise there, but just getting the Chalice in play just slows them down. It makes it a lot harder for them to answer this. Maybe this is the type of deck that could have sweepers, but also it's the type of deck where you might be looking to answer this with like Dress Down plus Swords to Plowshares. So Chalice makes it a little easier. Alright, well, they bounce the Chalice, no big deal. We get to at least kill Teferi here, which is nice. Oh, Emery's a fantastic draw. Wow. Alright, well, let's get Teferi off the table, step 1. Step 2, replay Chalice on 1. Step 3, play Emery. And step 4 is Pay2Win Blastoise. Or 2 more. Sure, these 2. And then, what are they drawing? Hopefully not a Supreme Verdict. Well, Flooded Strand means they could cast Supreme Verdict if they have it. But it's not clear that they even play sweepers to begin with. And, yep, they've seen enough. That is what this card does. What a card. What a card. I don't think I really want anything post-board against them. I'm going to bring in 2 forces, but we saw like Teferi, so it's not likely to be great. I think most of what I have is good. I think I could cut a Shadow Spear. And there is a chance they're playing like Monastery Mentor. I do think Pithing Needle is kind of good, though. Maybe I just have the Pithing Needle over the forces. I don't really want the forces. This is a deck that has Prismatic Ending a lot of the time. So, something to take into account, but... Alright, what are we doing here? This hand doesn't seem amazing. I do think it's a keep, but it's not great. This is really awkward. So I can cast Emery here, but I can't... Shadow Spear is gonna get got. I think this is right. I'm gonna do it in a way where I can cast Emery. I'm gonna name Human too. If they counter my Chalice, I'm not casting Emery. And they might also just Brainstorm here. They did Brainstorm, yeah. They could. I mean, it could have been a Spell Pierce or something. But usually they just want to get the 1-mana spells out of their hand. Alright, it resolved. So this is a neat little trick. You would think I wouldn't... Like, Emery should cost 1 mana, right? But if I sack the Lotus Petal, it should cost 2. But no, if you declare you're casting Emery and sacrifice Petal to cast it, it works. So there you have it. Oh, and there's a Pay-to-Win turtle in the graveyard. Nice. And it's going to be hard for them to kill Chalice. Or kill Emery through a Chalice, I guess I'd say. Pyroblast swords don't work. Yeah, I mean, not ideal for the opponent, certainly. Ooh, and another Pay-to-Win turtle. Wonderful. I'm going to put a Construct in play, and I'm going to Emery out a Lotus Petal. I still can't cast Turtle here, sadly, because of the Shadow Spear. Well, I couldn't cast it anyway, but... I definitely can't because of the Shadow Spear. Ooh, another Chalice. Does that change anything? I don't really think it does. I'm going to name Turtle. That's happening. And play a Lotus Petal here. And it stinks giving up the Construct, but I think it's right to just get Turtle in play. It's just uncounterable. I'm going to do it. So they need a sweeper here. A sweeper would be really bad for me, certainly. But there's not a lot of sweepers you can play off Island, Mountain that actually work in Legacy against this. Hull Breacher? Okay, I mean... Hull Breacher is kind of annoying, but certainly not the end of the world. Is this an iteration? Meltdown would be kind of bad, I guess, if they have it. Feels like Meltdown. It is Meltdown. Well, Meltdown not actually good here at all, as it turns out. I mean, it lets them cast 1 mana spells, which is good, but for the most part, that wasn't very good. They still haven't dealt with the turtle. Turtle just out here now. It's just his home. He's just living here. Opal was a fantastic draw. So the question is, can I or should I make constructs? I think the answer is that I'm not supposed to. That's my read. I am not going to make a construct. I will instead get a Mishra's Bauble. Start hitting them with the Blastoise. Yeah, I'm going to play a Shadow Spear. That's in play now. Play a Mox Opal. That's in play now. Let's cast a Chalice of the Void on 1. That is in play now. Is brainstorming in response? Sure. And I think what we're doing here is we're going to sack Bauble and recast Bauble. That was why I got it with Saga. The idea is that this is a 9, so unless they can kill this, I have a lethal attack next turn. And they might even be able to cast a wheel or something, but they have to kill Kappa Cannoneer this turn, and it's not that easy to do. They might have to force. Yeah, all right. See what they're drawing. Flooded Strand. Well, they have a mana, so if they do have a swords... No, there's a Chalice in place. Swords won't even work. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they're killing this. They need Fracturing Gust or something. They can't even cast that. I don't know. Think it's going to be tough for opponent here. Is what I'm getting at. But you can see the turn where I had the option to make the construct, and instead I put a Pay2Win turtle in play. Blastoise. PTW Blastoise. And then they meltdowned, and then Cannoneer resolved. Oh, I don't get to draw the card. Oh, no! I'm bad. Probably should have thought that one through. Just giving them a treasure is so bad that it actually lets them kind of come back. Oh, no. Why? Why did I make such a bad play? Snapcaster. Sure. I mean, Snapcaster is great and all, but unless you can also kill Emery, you're just dead on board. And you killed your treasure, so you have to have... Yeah, okay. Alright, well. There you have it. Pay2Win Turtle, just not a reasonable card. Like, this deck is not that good without the card. You see what happens when you get Meltdown. I lose 6 permanents. Like, it's really, really bad when this deck gets Meltdown. But when you have the turtle in play, it doesn't matter. Alright. Ooh. Round 5 against... Cardboard Live James. This is James Sue, host of Humans of Magic here. He says GL. I'm going to say GL back. I did win the die roll, which is nice. Now I know James, and James is a big fan of the Delver strategies. This is not... I mean, if I had another mana source, it would be good against Delver, but I don't, so this is a mulligan. This hand is much better against Delver. I do believe it's a clear keep. I'm going to keep and bottom an Opal. Little awkward that I can either Chalice on 1 or play Esper Sentinel on 1. I think I'm supposed to Esper Sentinel just because it plays, Or there's no days. I'm going to Chalice on one, make him have a Force, I guess. It stinks because it strands the Sentinel. But also just Chalice on one against so many decks is just game over. So, like, you know, I don't really care that there's one card stranded in my hand if the opponent loses the game. It's totally reasonable. And they do have the Force, so we get to him to Turok on turn 1. And then next turn, we'll get to put an Esper Sentinel in play. Unfortunately, I can't crack Bobbles here, but that's alright. And having the Force, very good for James there. Oh, Turtle. Hello, Turtle Man. Alright, I'm going to play my Sentinel. And we'll see what James does here. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I think I'm just casting Turtle next turn. No. No. Well, now I'm definitely casting Turtle. Man, even being able to pull or to pay for it, brutal. Alright, so the question is, what am I getting with Saga? Let's see what we draw. Ooh, Emery is a very good draw. Alright. Do I have to say? Yeah, I do have to second. Alright, I think I'm going to get Lotus Petal. And I don't know why I thought I'd be able to cast Turtle. I can't. But that's alright. James has already... Let's see what's in his hand. An Expressive Iteration. Oh, that's a really good one to have in your hand. Thought Monitor. That is not a good one to draw. And hit a Lightning Bolt. Come on. He only has like 6 removal spells. Gonna have 2 of them? So rude. I do get to draw 2 cards, which is good. And opponent still doesn't have Delirium, so that's good for me. But we have no lands in play, so that's not generally great. Hopefully one of these 2 cards is a land. What? I guess I drew Monitor. That's annoying. Yeah, I guess I hope he doesn't have days. Go, Chalice of the Void. Has Force of Will. Perfect. And tops. That is awful. Still doesn't have Delirium, though, so that's good. Nope, now he has Delirium. Awful. Oh, boy. And you can see a prime example, though, of why these have been awkward. I haven't drawn a land this game. You don't have a lot of lands, so you're not even super likely to draw lands, actually. I think I'm dead here. I'm still just going to name Turtle. And maybe if I draw... I don't even know what I could draw here. No, Saga's still not going to work. I honestly don't know. This Opal is so far away from being effective. Let's see what James is drawing. Another land, alright. I need a lot of things here. Chalice, not one of them. Well, James never even wastelanded me. My Saga popped. And I never drew another land until I drew this Cavern this turn. Which is unfortunate, but not the biggest of deals. I am in okay shape if I can draw something. Just misplays on my... I mean, I'm not even going to say misplays. That just was not played well on my part. And James had it. The end of the game wasn't played well. I think I played the beginning of the game fine. But the end didn't go great. Let's see. Do I want to change anything? I still feel like this deck is good against Delver game 1. I think an Aether Spellbomb makes a lot of sense. And Soul Guide Lantern I still think is okay. I do think it's worse than Tormod's Crypto. And I don't even know why it plays Soul Guide Lantern over Tormod's Crypt. I guess because it can draw a card. I think Tormod's Crypt, given we're a Chalice deck, is better though. Maybe I'll make that swap in future games. I do think Ethersworn is good. I think I could cut like a Lotus Petal maybe because I brought in the Crypt. Yeah, Lotus Petal against Delver though to play around Daze is like kind of good. I'm gonna cut a Lotus Petal though. I like having the more expensive stuff because of Meltdown. Like, I know they're going to have Meltdown. Delver decks just always have Meltdown nowadays. And it's right, because this deck is busted. You should definitely have the Meltdowns. But knowing that they need to have Meltdowns is important because it lets you play around stuff better. Okay. Yeah, this hand is really awkward. I am going to keep... So I have to Ancient Tomb, Petal, Opal, cast Shadow Spear, tap for white, pay Ethersworn Canonist. And I don't know what James does here. Maybe he Force of Wills, maybe he just untaps and bolts it. But this deck does not really want to leave Ethersworn Canonist in play. It makes it really hard for it to keep up with me. And if he does leave it in play, Turtle's coming into play next turn. Through a Cavern. Tarfire. Interesting. Well, it's still coming into play. That's not changing. I would like one Turtle, please. Pay to win! Yay! Yeah, I mean, if James doesn't have a Meltdown here, it is trouble for him. And even if he does have a Meltdown here, still trouble. Still not good. That is just not ever beating a Shadow Spear on this thing. That's a really good draw, too. Jeez. Alright, Chalice on one. I imagine we're countering this. We're casting a Brainstorm. Brainstorm, okay. Interestingly, even though we have... Okay, no, now we have Delirium. I don't think that's going to matter. Really needs Force Will here. The Turtle plus Shadow Spear is just so brutal. Man, really in the tank. Wonder what's going on here. Alright, the Brainstorm has resolved. And we do have a Force Will. Alright, fair enough. Expressive Iteration gone. Okay. Listen, if you want to pitch an Expressive Iteration to counter my spell, That's all you. You got it. I do still think he's just in rough shape, though. I mean, it's not unblockable that turn, but it will be next turn, especially if there's a meltdown involved. I will be more happy to play this, but even if, like, unless he has exactly meltdown, I just can't see him beating this deck just isn't beating Shadow Spear plus Cannoneer. It's just not going to happen. Oh, wow. Okay. Alright. James is out here doing his thing. Would be a real shame if I had an artifact. Tell you what. This is really unfortunate because I do need the artifact to punch through this turn. Oh, but he can't block next turn, so even if he has meltdown, he's just done. Yeah, okay. And let's bring the beats, Mr. Cannoneer. Alright, I'm at 24. So meltdown is like kind of bad, but it just doesn't do anything. Yeah, and that's not going to do it either. I mean, he gets one draw step. I can't think of a card that saves you here. Yeah, certainly none of the cards that got milled do. This turtle, it is an interesting card. It is an interesting card. So on the draw, do I want anything different? I don't think I really do. I think the Tormod's Crypt is just totally fine. Grafdigger's Cage doesn't really do all that much. Yeah, I think this is fine. I could be convinced I'm supposed to have some swords in, but when this deck, like, you just want Chalice so badly that I think not having swords is reasonable. The only reason you really want swords is exactly Murktide Regent, and this deck is actually pretty good against Murktide Regent. Psy Master Thopterus tokens can just block it. You have a Retrofitter Foundry, which it takes a while to make Thopters, but you can. Thought Monitor can just block it. Ooh, this is a good hand, I believe. It's a turn 1 Chalice of the Void. Hopefully drawing a land to turn 2 Psy and then play 2 zeros. But even if I don't, I can Lotus Petal out Psy and then play 1 0. And then eventually get to Cannoneer here. Eventually. The real question is, do I want to play around Daze? I think the answer now is yes. Ancient Tomb, Lotus Petal. James has asked me if I was able to rent them. All right, so I think I'm still Chalice in here. And the question is, do I want to play the Opal? I don't think I expose the Opal to a meltdown here. There's just no benefit to it. Yeah, the format needs... James is saying the format needs more dress downs, and I agree strongly. I think you definitely need dress downs against this deck. It answers my Urza Saga constructs. It gives you a chance to kill the Cannoneer. Oh, if you're just wasting me here, that's not... Well, actually, I drew a tomb. Lucky me. to play a Sai and then a Bauble. Now, I'm not saying... I mean, I am very far ahead here. A Meltdown would still be quite bad for me, but Sai is like really good against it. It's great protection. I get to pop my Bauble here. James is drawing Force of Will. Fair enough. Oh boy. Those both seem quite good. Play Lotus Petal, Bauble, Pay2Win Turtle, blue, 2, tap, 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 and these 2. Turtle's in there, and I think I'm attacking. James says GG's. GG's, sir. And there you have it. We have trophied with Pay2Win Turtle. Blastoise came through. Well, let's do a quick wrap up on the deck. How do we feel about it? The Turtle was excellent. I think that was pretty clear. Felt very good. These numbers felt right. I think the disruption also felt right. I really like this. One change I'm interested in going forward is if I wanted Graveyard Hate, a main deck Tormod's Crypt seems better than Soul Guide Lantern to me. I'm not sure that that's better than having a main deck Aether Spellbomb or Pithing Needle. I think both of those have merit as well. I'm unsure on the swords also, but I think going forward I like this list quite a bit. It feels incredibly strong. Yeah, I'm a big fan. We'll see, you know, if it stacks up how I continue working on it. But I think this is my front runner for the team energy coming up. I don't think enough people will be quite prepared for it. And they're not playing the hate they need to be playing. I think if you want to be beating this deck, you need cards like Seeds of Innocent. Or if you want to be beating this deck, you need cards like Seeds of Innocence. Serenity is one I'm playing in a lot of my white decks right now that aren't this deck because it just destroys everything. Dress Down's very good. Supreme Verdict is good again. Terminus even. I think Terminus could be on its way back. And Pyroblast is also good against this deck, although not as good as you would think. It is good, but not amazing. The other thing that is very good against this deck is having your own Chalice of the Voids and putting them on 0 on turn 1. So if you get to counter all of my 0s before they come down, this deck just can't cast its big spells and it just kind of loses. So that's a very real thing that this deck could explore in the future. But in general, I think the deck's quite good. I actually kind of wonder if these swords should just be prismatic endings because of how bad this deck is against Chalice on 0. Maybe that's something the deck can explore. But for right now, I think it's very good, and I think Kappa Cannoneer is just kind of broken. The white splash definitely felt better than the blue splash to me. Esper Sentinel was awkward in some spots, but I think just the Cavern of Souls were good enough by themselves. Like I think if you were going to play the blue splash, you should still probably just play the Caverns. Just because of how good it was with Cannoneer. And I do think Ethersworn was good. You could see that Delver struggled with it. It didn't really come up against Doomsday, but it could have. And it's kind of just another lock piece. It lets you not play the Force Wells main. The big problem with the blue splash, in my opinion, or the mono blue version, in my opinion, was that the Force Wells main were bad. You didn't always have blue cards to pitch. When you did have blue cards to pitch, they're always your best cards. Like, these cards are the best cards in the deck. They're the reason you're playing it. And pitching them doesn't feel good. The only time it ever felt good to pitch a blue card to Force of Will was when you were pitching another Force of Will. So, like, your blue card count was too low. Yeah, it just wasn't, you know, I didn't like it. But I think this felt really good. I was really happy with it. I think the sideboard forces are good. I am going to experiment with just making Force Negations Flusterstorms. I think this deck could benefit from having 2 to 3 Flusterstorms in the sideboard. I could see that being better. Flusterstorm's nice because it's a 1-mana counter spell that gets around Chalice of the Void and is also kind of hard for your opponent to counter. So it's something I'll look at. But for the most part, I think this deck is really good. And yeah, the deck list is going to be posted down below. Remember to like and subscribe. Really appreciate it. Really help me continue to make videos on this channel, continue to put out content for the people watching. And with that, talk to you next time.